This Sunday, the Arizona Cardinals are set to take on the Los Angeles Rams in a game that I think is going to be highly competitive because not only is it a divisional game, but both of these teams ended up losing by 6 total points to teams that are fantastic in my eyes. I think the Bills might be worse than the Lions, but everybody is predicting both of these teams to be insanely successful. Like the Lions were in the NFC Championship last year and unfortunately lost, but this team is ridiculous on paper. And then the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen, who I think is the second best quarterback in the entire NFL. And both of these teams in the NFC West, the Rams and the Cardinals, lost by 6. I don't think they're hanging their hats too high. I think both of these teams wish that they got these week 1 victories because they were both in it, but unfortunately for both of them, they both lost. So they are both 0-1 looking to get a win, and one of them is going to walk away with it on Sunday unless we tie, which fingers crossed does not happen. But like I said, I think this is going to be highly competitive and we are going to go ahead and dissect that today. Let me know down in the comment section below before we dive into this what team you guys have winning. At the end of this video, I will be giving you guys my prediction as well, and I'm going to be analyzing what I think is going to happen. Let's get right into this thing. So like I said, the LA Rams lost to the Detroit Lions by 6 freaking points in another insanely close football game. The Rams can't get over the hump of Detroit, and Detroit continues to prove themselves as not a pretender. This was a game that went to overtime, and David Montgomery pounded it in for a touchdown and ended it all. This was a fun game to watch, so I'm not complaining, and a divisional opponent lost as well. So we will also take that too. Seattle and San Fran both got wins, so the Cardinals and Rams, I don't know where this division is going to go, but both of them I think are going to be in the running for the playoffs. Seattle probably the same thing, and we all know what San Fran is. But the Rams lost, and a key reason is because that defense is not that good. The Cardinals are the same way. I would say the Rams are a bottom 20 defense in the league, and the Cardinals are probably a bottom 25 at best. If we're going off last week, though, I mean, the Cardinals are the worst defense in the entire NFL, and I'm not hearing anybody out. We got that strip sack on Josh Allen by Roy Lopez, which is pretty good. But outside of that, Josh Allen had his way with us. And by having his way, I mean passing for almost 80%, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 39 yards, and 2 more touchdowns on the ground. That is 4 freaking touchdowns for Josh Allen, and as you guys see in the picture, he is literally just hurdling Buda Baker and just, yeah, I'm over those. He pounded in 4 touchdowns, and the Cardinals have no run defense whatsoever, and we were holding the Bills receivers like crazy. And I'm not talking about holding a good way. I mean, like, holding. I believe we had 2 pass interference calls. So, I mean, our DBs are a little shaky. Starling Thomas was pretty bad. I think he's the worst corner. And then Sean Murphy Bunting had a few penalties, if I'm not mistaken. I think he actually had both of them. He just could not let go of Keon Coleman. So for whatever reason, the Cardinals are just insanely bad. Rams, I don't think have a great defense either. I mean, they lost the best player in their franchise history, potentially the best defensive player ever. As a Cardinals fan, I am not afraid to say that. Like, I've seen Ray Lewis, I watched Ed Reed, I watched Troy Polamalu, I watched Bobby Wagner. Like, I watched a ton of these guys. I never got to see LT. I'm also going to throw in Luke Kuechly. I can't forget that. That is a top 5 defensive player that I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. But Aaron Donald, this man was on another level. And I arguably would say he's the best defensive player of all time. So losing him hurts you so much because you can no longer be merchants of him. I was saying this in the beginning of the season. I said, as a defensive unit, you guys are going to struggle so much, and as a team, I mean, your defense is going to get marched on. It's going to extend drives. You're going to have less offensive possessions. It's going to hurt you guys. So I mean, that's kind of why I said that. I had the Rams actually finishing 7-10. You guys could do much better. I think that defense is awful. I mean, the Cardinals are kind of the same way, because looking at what happened in the Rams game, Jamison Williams, a guy that I really wanted the Arizona Cardinals to take. If you guys remember, you are real ones. This is a guy I wanted in the draft so bad. I thought he was going to be so nasty. He's an insane deep threat. He totaled 5 receptions for 121 yards and a tutty. Absolutely torched the Rams defensive back. So I think the Cardinals can get stuff going through the air, which we're going to desperately have to do. I think we have all the weapons to do it. We're able to do it personnel wise as well. We got Marv, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, James Conner, Trey Benson, Kyler Murray. Like, we have a ton of weapons on offense. I don't think the Rams are going to be able to stop us. I also don't think we're going to stop the Rams. I'll talk about game plan in just a second because I think there is a way to success, and we're going to talk about that with this point actually, is that I think the Cardinals can get things going through the run game because David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs had field days. Both of them got in the end zone. Jahmyr Gibbs had 11 carries, 40 yards and a tutty, and David Montgomery 17 for 91 and a tut as well. Averaging 3.6 yards a carry, which isn't great, but I mean, he did it through the receiving game as well and totaled some passing yards, and then David Montgomery got 5.4 a top. I think the Rams' run defense is cooked, and we have a running back that hopefully can actually get things going for an entire game and not just a quarter, and that is Mr. James Conner. Last game, he totaled 16 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown, 3.1 on average, which is not fantastic whatsoever, but I think the offensive line was fantastic for him, and he looked explosive in the first. I just hope he can do it through an entire game, and against the Rams, this is probably going to be his shot. I think James Conner is going to have a fantastic day, and my prediction for this is that James Conner is going to total over 75 rushing yards and a touchdown. I don't know if it's coming through the receiving game or the rushing game, but James Conner is getting in that end zone. He's totaling 75 plus rushing yards, and he's going to kill it. And now we're going to go ahead and flip it over to the Arizona Cardinals, who also lost by 6, like mentioned, 28-34 against the Buffalo Bills. We already went over Josh Allen's stats. We know he ripped us to shreds, and Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, who could do the exact same thing. Obviously not through the rushing game, but when it comes to dissecting a defense, Matthew Stafford scares the absolute crap out of me. One of the most underrated quarterbacks in the entire NFL. I think he can pick apart any defense. We've watched him do it for the past like 4 seasons now. Kind of sick of it. I'm glad he won a Super Bowl, one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the entire history of football. I'm saying that confidently, and I still think he's disrespected to this day because a lot of people probably don't even have him top 8, but real ball knowers understand where he stands. But I mean, I'm terrified. The Cardinals defense sucks. Like I said, we literally got no penetration last week that resulted in anything. We totaled like 2 sacks. That may sound good on paper, but I promise you right now, we should have had like 6 last game. Josh Allen was just breaking every single tackle. Like I said, I'm sick of that. I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to bounce off anything, but I mean, he is able to dissect, and with time, he is going to thread that needle. We have to get pressure this game, otherwise we're screwed. And a guy who might help get some pressure, and I think we can utilize him in a bunch of different ways because he does play inside linebacker, is Mack Wilson, who was the highest graded player in week 1 versus the Buffalo Bills with an 87.9 PFF grade. That doesn't mean anything to me. PFF grades are hit or miss, but I mean, he was all over the field and clearly a standout for this team. David Collins is also right there because he is a fantastic run defender. When it comes to edge pressure, I mean, he did get robbed of a sack. He's not the most insane edge rusher. So where's the pressure going to come from? I'm not sure, but we're going to need those top 2 guys that were just listed, Zaven Collins and Mack Wilson, to ball out once again. This secondary is going to have to strap things up because if we don't, we are doomed. There's this guy that happens to reside in LA that a lot of people kind of forgot about and disrespected a ton. I don't understand why. I still think this guy is a top 6 receiver in the league. I don't understand where the disrespect is or how he fell off. I don't know why people forgot about him, but Cooper Kupp. Yeah, remember this guy? The guy who missed a ton of games last season, really couldn't get into a rhythm? Yeah, he's back. He had 14 receptions last game. 14 and 110 receiving yards with a touchdown. The Lions don't have an insane secondary either, but I mean, ours is way worse. Ours is about on par, and look at what Cooper Kupp did. 14 receptions. Matthew Stafford got him that football. If I didn't say I was scared, I would be lying to you. I couldn't even imagine what's going to happen if Matthew Stafford has that time like I think he will. I think he's going to pick us apart. Now, Matthew Stafford, he had 70% completion percent, 317 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. It didn't result in a lot of points for this team, but Matthew Stafford was dealing that thing. He was picking up a ton of yards. Like I said, he is a top 6 quarterback, top 8 quarterback in the entire NFL, even in 2024. I think Matthew Stafford, this is going to be my prediction, is going to have 2 passing touchdowns against us. He might even get to 3, but I'm going to call it safe and say he has 2+ touchdowns in this one. He's probably also going to throw for like 250+ yards. Then there's this guy named Kyren Williams. You know, we're going to flip it to the running back who just loves to kill the Cardinals. I don't know why, but this man is not very nice when he plays us. Look at these stats. Absolutely ridiculous. He had 158 carries and then 143 in back-to-back games. This is a month apart. Like, the dude is a Cardinals killer, and he got in the end zone 1 time. If he breaks out, I'm not going to be surprised either. I think the Cardinals defense is free. So, I mean, just take what you want. I feel like that's kind of what it's going to be all season for this team. But the offense is not the same way. So we're going to go ahead and flip it and show you guys why I'm optimistic in this game, because I think both defenses are terrible. I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. Kyler Murray in heavy wind had 162 yards, a touchdown, and he also had a ton of rushing yards too. He had 5 total carries for 57 yards. Like, Kyler Murray was going crazy on the ground, through the air. I think the play calling was really bad in the second half of that game, and Marvin Harrison wasn't looked at like at all. I think that is going to change a lot coming week 2, but Kyler, I think, is going to have a massive game too, and if I had to make a prediction for him, I'm going to say that he passes for 205+ passing yards, and he gets in the end zone twice, probably 1 through the air, 1 through the ground. I think he is going to get this team in twice, and then, like I said, James Conner's probably going to get in there too. So if that happens, that's 3 total touchdowns. But like we said too, with Marvin Harrison Jr., there was not a ton of action here. He had a reception, he had 3 total targets, 104 yards. That is not a great debut for the number 4 pick and the guy that is deemed a generational talent. But what if I told you I'm not worried whatsoever? I think he's going to have a fantastic game. I really do. I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to prove a lot of people wrong, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be way more involved than he was last week, and he's going to shut a lot of people up. Stay tuned for that. I'm keeping note, man. I got all the receipts. There's a thread that I have of people calling this man a bust. So I can't wait for him to break out and actually have a good game and then just like surprise the league. Like, the talent's there. It's just a matter of time. He has to get comfortable. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison have to build chemistry. They got to get a connection. They both didn't play in preseason, which might affect that a little bit. They got to get comfortable, knock the rust off. But regardless, the offense looked good with Marvin Harrison only totaling 3 total targets. I think that's huge for us. And what else is huge for us is that Puka Nacua is going to be out. So Cooper Kupp will be the main focus as long as Kyren Williams does not destroy us on the ground for the 3rd freaking straight game. I think the Cardinals have a great shot in this because we got to dial in on Cooper Kupp, baby. And I think it was Tyler Johnson who stepped up last week and had a pretty solid game totaling like 70 plus receiving yards. With the loss of Puka, I think we're going to be all right. Matthew Stafford can deal and wheel. I think he is one of those quarterbacks that elevate the play around him. There's not many people in the league who still do that, but he is one of them. Like, you could probably put some bums at receiver and he's probably still going to have a good game. So I'm not saying Cooper Kupp is the only problem, but I'm saying we do got to dial in on him or he's going to cook us because Matthew Stafford will give him the ball. Remember, 14 receptions. I think it is going to be an offensive shootout. I think both of these teams are going to score at minimum 24 points each. So whatever that money line is or whatever the total points is, I'm probably looking at the over. I think this is going to be an insanely highly competitive battle of the NFC West. And I'm going to roll with my gut, man. I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals are going to walk away winning this one 27-24. Both teams getting over 24, but the Cardinals edge them out by a field goal. Matt Prater, I mean, he might even hit a game winner. It might be this close. I don't think either of these teams are going to run away with it, but if the Rams do, it's probably going to be because Kyren Williams got active. And if the Cardinals do, it's probably going to be because of James Conner. I think they're both the X factor, but I think Matthew Stafford and Kyler are also both going to have tremendous games. It's probably going to come down to time of possession because when the Cardinals had control, they looked fantastic. If the Rams get control, they're probably going to do the same. And with both the quarterbacks we're going to see in action, if they have a solid run game, they will pick you apart. So basically, whatever team wants to win, I think it's going to come down to time of possession. I think elite level quarterback play. And then I think it's going to come down to big defensive stops. Which team, which defense that is terrible in my eyes is going to step up big in clutch moments. That's what I think it's going to come down to. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video, man. Predict down in the comment section below with me. Let me know who you think is going to win this one. Give me your score prediction. Give me a breakout player. And also let me know the excitement levels you guys have for this game coming up. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video, man. If you are new to the channel or ended up enjoying today's video, man, consider hitting that subscribe button. I post Arizona Cardinals and NFL related content. So if you're a fan of either of those, perfect channel for you. But like I said, man, that is all I got for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. It's been your boy Mythic. Peace out.